He's back. He's back!
Hey guys, Dan here and welcome back finally to another reaction and to another video. And guys, it's been too long. I had taken a few months off so I could focus a little bit on college. So thanks for the wait. Now I'm more free for the next few months. So I just want to get back to reactions. There is nothing better to say. Actually, there's one better news to say. Tomorrow maybe, or in the next few days, I'm gonna finally be getting my gaming PC. You guys know that my equipment right now is very limited. My computer is not the best one. I have a lot of limitations when it comes to recording, but finally I think I'm gonna get a good upgrade so I can live stream better. Maybe record better videos for you guys with a higher resolution, and also some new series coming up. So guys, thanks so much for all the wait, thanks so much for all the support, thanks so much to all of you who stayed subscribed to the channel, and welcome everyone who are tuning in to during this return. And this video is the first one we're gonna be reacting to. This video was the latest, not the latest one, the oldest one in our reaction list in the Discord that I was owning you guys that I needed to deliver. So we're gonna be reacting today to the curious case of cheating in MvM. This is a video made by TF2. So I really recommend you guys go to Wheezy's channel that will be linked down in the description by the original video and give him a like. I'm sure he deserves it because this is a very long video. And if you can, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share the video, share the channel, leave a comment, and just be sure to have a good time. Okay, that's why I aim to do these videos, and I really hope that you guys enjoy the return of the channel. And I think that's it. I don't think we have anything more to own. If I lag out sometimes with my shoulder disappearing a little bit, sorry. I am coming back right now, so I need to return the settings to their usual settings that I used to do. But thanks so much, and without further ado, I think we're ready. You're ready? I'm ready, so let's go.
Cheating in Man vs. Machine. How should we feel about it? Well, in the name of science, and totally not because I wanted free loot, I played the 3 most popular MvM tours with cheating aimbot snipers. I wanted to know, how much time does it save? Is it even wrong to cheat in such a game mode? And most importantly, are there any limits to the scale of high tour degeneracy? We're gonna answer all of that. But I'm also going to tell you the story of how the very act of me deciding to make this video turned some of MvM's most prominent high tours into very sodium-rich individuals. They got mad. So sit down, grab a snack, because today we're gonna tackle all that we can about cheating in Man vs. Machine.
A little disclaimer about this is that I do not incentivize cheating. I know that he has been doing this maybe in the name of science, but I just hope he does a little disclaimer about not doing it, because I can imagine why people in high games would be very mad at someone bringing bots to a game, because TF2 doesn't punish bots very well, we all know that. And I've seen bots and I've played with bots in MvM, but that's something we can get into later. Just a disclaimer, they were not my bots, they were there, but they were not mine. But yeah, I have seen these bot games and I'm actually curious to see what were the reactions to it. So, continuing. Also, I'll try to pause after some time so I can speak
A lot
a
of
little
you
bit.
guys are actually oblivious to the fact that many people do cheat in MvM. So, here's what it looks like. You don't need a microscope to see what's going on here. Heatmaker snipers are positioned next to a max range dispenser, shooting more red lines than a collage of lost memes on the Virtual Boy. Their cheats ignore bot invincibility, prioritize uber medics above all else, apply no collision detection so they can stack in one place, and have instant F4s so there's as little downtime as humanly possible. And thanks to the sniper's instant money pickup mechanic, every bundle of cash is pocketed instantaneously.
Wait, they have that?
It sounds foolproof. It isn't. Anything with a colossal amount of health will need to be taken down by traditional means. Unfortunate, I know. Most notably, tanks depend upon being gunned down by the team's engineer, and giants require one of the snipers to temporarily don their fursuit and blow that fucker into the pit. So no, it's not completely autopilot. But how much time does it save? Based on my own testing with a team of 2 cheating snipers and discounting breaks between waves, Mecha Engine and Gear Grinder both took less than an hour to complete, with 2 cities approaching nearly 2. And because cheaters are mostly out for Australians, the 2 less popular missions are actually the ones run most often. Keep in mind though, this is only with 2 snipers. Many groups run 3 or even 4 to speed up the process to a greater extent. Also, because so many randoms act like Mount Fijis attached to their index fingers, waiting 2 minutes between waves when solo queuing is practically commonplace. So cheated runs are even faster comparatively should you factor in that time. That being said, cheating still isn't the most practical way to play MvM in terms of pure effectiveness. That crown goes to speedrunning, which are on average about 10 to 20% faster than those of your average cheated game. But let's face it, the vast majority of players don't want to drench themselves in a pool of sweat for that extra optimization. So for 99% of the player base, playing with cheaters has the greatest effort to reward ratio of any available options by a significant margin. And because Valve has long since given up on developing any form of functioning anti-cheat, the risk for engaging in it is incredibly minimal. This seems like a winning strategy, a non-punishable, very consistent way to farm your drops expeditiously. What could possibly go wrong? Well, in the toxic wasteland of high tour infighting, what can't? So you've all heard of TacoBot by now, right? If you haven't, well, they're pretty much MvM's premier cavalcade of toxicity, publicly blacklisting players for crimes such as leaving mid-game.
Oh wait, there's a part. I think I remember that. I think that we have reacted in the past to a video that talked about this toxic community that would single out different types of players that would not play the meta and that would not play the game as intended in the eyes of a high tour player. And I've played with these guys before. I have seen these guys in action. I had a game where there were me and 4 other Brazilians, and there was this one American dude, or this guy that speaks English, and he wanted us to play by the meta, but no, we were the 5 of us that had never played with each other. We were randomly queued together. We were okay with each one of us doing their thing and trying their best, but this guy would know. He was like, "No, I'm gonna report you." And basically, we just ended up kicking the guy because he was being so obnoxious and so annoying. I don't know. Because instead of these people forming closed games or closed groups, they just want to get into a random game and they just want the best of the best. And if they don't play the game that you want, they will either try to kick you, as we have seen in previous videos or in previous stories, or they will just not play. They will troll the entire game. They will not let the 6th slot be taken. Especially if they have like 3 people, and they will never leave. They expect you to leave. They do not expect or did not care about wasting their time and your time if you're not doing what they want. These are the types of dicks that we got in this game.
Picking bad upgrades, picking good upgrades, being a child predator. Actually, that one's fair. Despite the rough go we routinely give them on this channel, they do promote my content, which, I mean, is kinda like having the link to your Patreon in Mein Kampf. Like, hey, I appreciate it, but this doesn't lend me well to the best optics. Now, what you might not know about TacoBot is that this footage was actually recorded via the Wayback Machine. If you check the site today, their only public listings are for those who aimbot and people who refuse to kick them. Now, credit where credit is due, this is a good change, but there's something very peculiar here. Almost 1,000 listings. That's a lot of people for a relatively niche game mode. And what's this PizzaBot stuff they're referring to? Well, for every yin, there's a yang. Or in this case, for every shell, there's a crust. PizzaBot are a group of MvM players who champion themselves as the antithesis to TacoBot in its purest form, with large expedition dumps and public lambastings at every turn. They also cheat. Like, a lot. As in, every piece of footage shown in this video was recorded with some of their members. Now, despite my mostly positive interactions with them and their propensity to act timidly towards new players, I mean, why wouldn't they? Airblasting Sentry Busters doesn't negatively affect someone clearing house while binging Game of Thrones on their second monitor, but I digress. I'm not going to attribute any kind of moral standing to either of these groups, and I suggest you don't either. These aren't your run-of-the-mill Reddit users arguing over gay cereal boxes or whatever the fuck. This is a neckbeard faction war that runs deep into the abyss of degeneracy, including doxing, griefing, incessant schizo posting, and a fucking 200-page Google Google Doc manifesto. I don't remember Food Battle being this intense. Yeah, all you need to know is they have some mild philosophical disagreements regarding man versus machine, and they'll bring each other down if given the opportunity. Which brings me to today's story. This is Basil.
Almost sound like Brazil.
He's known for joining missions mid-game with the express purpose of doing a little trolling, intentionally airblasting the bomb carrier to the hatch and forcing a loss for the team. He's completely willing to hold the entire game hostage for everybody if it means he gets to slightly annoy one person he's not too fond of. I once found myself on the receiving end of one of these tantrums, and despite my best efforts to talk him down and my teammates' colorful comments, we couldn't get him to leave. So from that point onwards, he cemented himself as a walking dumpster fire never to be queued with. And I wrote him off as a vengeful child desperate for attention. Yes, I'm aware of the irony, but come on guys, content is king here. These actions obviously justify a vote kick, but because Valve is more concerned with trying to make a VR a thing and less concerned about fixing their fucking game, kicked players can just join right back. So Basil did. Again, and again, and again.
So sad.
It's almost instinctual at this point that whenever I see this guy on my team, I nope the fuck out of there as soon as possible. I was not planning on dealing with his bullshit ever again. Well, or so I thought. Because while I was recording footage of cheaters doing cheaty things, someone joined my game. And given the name similarity and the groan of dismay from one of the cheaters, I had a hunch about what was going to happen. Basil was going to force the robots out of the cheaters' line of sight using air blast, preventing them from being killed, and forcing a loss. To counteract this, one of our cheaters would have to do the same. The objective? Outblow the other man.
So this all became a competition against the troller, the cheaters against the troller? This is becoming more interesting than I thought it would. Oh, nice beat. This is just like ping pong. I don't know who to cheer for this. The troller or the cheaters, because I despise both sides. I mean, if you come in just to troll a game like MvM, you're just being an ass mostly. And if you're cheating in MvM, you're going for the money, but I do not agree with cheating in games. So I'm neutral so far as where these stand. But since these guys have history, I don't know. I want to see where this all goes. Oh.
Finally, after endless kicks and rejoins, the cheaters manage to get one of their buddies in before Basil can infiltrate once more. I get my footage, they get their loot, and that was the end of that. Just kidding. After all this drama occurred, Basil proceeded to share this screenshot among his TacoBot associates. And I know this because my Steam profile got absolutely dogpiled like I was the only e-girl in a Minecraft Discord. Everyone wanted a slice of the old banana boy, but I wasn't interested in having a conversation about ethics with people who support kicking new players on the last wave. But that's not what this was really about.
Really
presumably, they were worried that I, one of the biggest MvM YouTubers, thanks guys, keep letting me say that, would cast their nemesis in a favorable light and thereby scrub their opposition of all moral wrongdoing. At least, in the eyes of my sheep viewers. I mean, from their perspective, it did make sense. I don't think people should be kicked for using the gas passer. I've ridiculed their organization while making a mockery out of their members, and I've had participants of a well-known cheating group on my friends list for the duration of this video making process. And when tribalism is your defining vice, it's very easy to fall into this us versus them mentality, as if speaking out against one group innately confirms my allegiance towards another. It doesn't. But it didn't stop there. TacoBot members and their associates went so far as to unabashedly kick me from games, along with publicly making snarky remarks regarding my involvement. Yeah, guys, it'd be much easier for me to make PizzaBot look bad if you all weren't so intent on proving yourself worse by comparison. Some of them even went so far as to insinuate I was lying about this video's production to mask my affinity for cheating, because apparently wanting to record visual aids and prepare them weeks in advance is a foreign concept to these people. Yeah, just ignore my uncheated tour count and my collection of content. Apparently, this was all a cover story so I could stay buddy-buddy with my best pals in PizzaBot and defend cheating from my ivory tower. Yeah, that's one way to get me on your side and avoid propping up the people you hate most. You guys ever hear about not poking the bear? All I'm saying is, you're lucky I have integrity. Because if I was as YouTube-pilled as some of my contemporaries, maybe I would promote cheating in MvM just to make you guys mad and farm Keck W's. That would be some premium-ass gourmet content. After how I and this community have been treated, I have zero issue airing out even more of your dirty laundry. But that's not my goal today. Okay, well, my main goal. I'd rather discuss the quandary we find ourselves in regarding how we should actually approach cheating in Man vs. Machine. And like many facets of TF2, it's complicated. So let's get a bit more broad for a moment. Are there specific contexts in Team Fortress 2 where cheating is permissible?
Good question.
Well, let's start off with the obvious. Casual and competitive. Definitely not. You'd be hard-pressed to find even a single person who believes any of this shit is acceptable.
Oh, guys, I am totally against cheating. You guys know it, but if you guys saw our series about trying to get the 40 pumpkins, we were not able to get the 40 pumpkins because of bots. It was so annoying. It was impossible to try to finish a mission in less than 40 minutes without the bots taking over the server. I needed to expend 2 minutes to get maybe 2 points for the contracts. And I was not able to get all the pumpkins because of bots. So yeah, for me, they ruined the game. As my style of play of playing casual, cheats are something that should not be able to stay in TF2. It's just how it is for me.
Beyond the perpetrators themselves. So it's all but confirmed at this point that over 99% of players think cheating in a PvP setting is bad. But let's try another scenario. Let's say you queue into an MvM map all by yourself on your own individual server. No loot, no added status symbol, it's just you and the robots. Nothing else. How about now? Is cheating in this situation fine? I think most people would say yeah, fuck it, why not? No harm's being done. The point I'm making here is that it's not a black and white issue as so many people claim it is. It's a sliding scale working on a case-by-case basis. But let's bring this back to MvM. Real MvM. Man up mode. The one that drops all the loot. The one that everyone plays. The one where helpful advice is coded in racial epithets. Ah, the best part of the game. I ran a poll on my community tab asking you guys what your thoughts were, and only 52% of players had a hardline stance against it. Coincidentally, another poll made by Reddit user Valepixon came to the same number that I did. 52%. Nuances around their apathy, sure, but around half the player base have at best a malleable opinion on it. Why is that the case? Well, loot, right? It's gotta be the loot. And kinda, but it's not that simple. Many will be quick to point out that if you're playing MvM for the loot, you may as well dump your money into whatever crypto rug pull is trending that week, because there's a good chance you're not getting it back. So logically speaking, if you're playing MvM not for the gameplay but for the drops, you are acting foolishly. The problem that many people seem to miss is that this exact same impracticality argument can be made for those playing for fun as well. There's a free alternative with any mission you'd like right below Man Up in the form of Boot Camp. And if you're of the opinion that the lack of extrinsic rewards and a generally lesser skilled player pool make it an entirely different game, fair enough. But you could always play Man Up, leave a minute or two before the game ends, and preserve your ticket while foregoing your loot. Now there are people who never set foot in MvM and just buy their Aussies with money, and there are also those who never consume any of their tickets one way or another. If you're one of these people, congratulations, you're what we like to call philosophically consistent. However, for anyone else making these arguments, you're just as hypocritical as the side you're criticizing. No matter what way you spin it, consuming an MvM ticket is a dumb move either way. So if it's impractical to focus on loot, and needlessly expensive to focus on fun, why does anyone play MvM in the first place? I don't know. Why do people unbox crates? They too are notoriously unprofitable, and there's no gameplay experience to be had.
Really quick tip. They play it because it's addicting to maybe know that you're gonna get something good, at least in my perspective. It's what drives you. I know that I have a problem with, for example, addictions. I know that I have a game addiction, for example. And I know that I will never, for example, allow myself to expand 10 crates. You know, 10 keys in 10 keys in 10 crates on TF2. I try to only unbox one when I have the money for it to try to make a video. But I think that's what drives you, like the anxiety, the feeling that you might get something, the feeling that if you got something bad next time, oh, next time I'm definitely gonna get something better. That's just logic. I think it is really for the loot. The way that our brain generates dopamine as soon as we use the key, that we throw our money away to maybe have a chance to get something.
Simply put, gambling is fucking fun. There's nothing wrong with
That's what I
admitting
just
that.
said.
Gambling is fucking fun. Let's stop dancing around the obvious here. There's no shame in admitting it's enjoyable to play a glorified slot machine, but you have to admit that's the crux of it. MvM is a giant slot machine with a painfully slow lever, and cheating lets these players pull it more often. They don't give a fuck about the experience, they don't give a fuck about the integrity of the game, they just want their roll of the dice. And whether you like it or not, a lot of players feel this way. Listen to this statement for a moment. Getting mad at a weapon that makes waves go by much faster is like being mad at empty traffic. This isn't a quote from a cheater, I think. This was a comment left on my Gas Passer video. The top comment. Let that sink in for a moment. Of the almost 3,000 comments on that video,
I mean, there's
the
no way
one
to
that
know
my
if it
viewers
was a
found the
cheater.
most agreeable is the one that compares the gameplay of MvM to the mundane slog of traffic. If that doesn't prove how much an emphasis on loot as an incentive structure varies from person to person, nothing ever will. If these players could unbox Australians with tickets in the same manner you use keys for unusuals, Valve, don't get any ideas, they'd probably do that instead. But we live with a game where that isn't possible, and rightfully so. So that begs the question, is it wrong to cheat in Man vs. Machine? Because I've noticed a lot of people don't like it at all. I joined multiple games with randoms over the course of grabbing this footage, and almost everyone I talked to said they were against it. But when I pushed them on it and asked for a reason beyond the simple-minded take of all cheating is bad, I not once received an actual answer. Really, every single response beyond that line of questioning was met with either radio silence or zero elaboration, which tells me that a big portion of this 52% haven't actually thought through why they don't like cheating, they're just dogmatically against it. Which is weird because there are a lot of arguments you could make. Some of them are shit, but a lot of them are worth.
Before he gets into the arguments, I think it's fair for me to say why I don't like cheating. I think that cheating in its base most of the times it's used not for your pleasure, because the pleasure in this scenario comes when you take something away from the others, like making them mad, make them salty. A lot of cheaters, I believe that they use them because they got used to, and it's fun to just incite people to get angry. But in MvM, I don't approve it because most times it's used in a scenario that you're not the only person. Because if a cheater gets 5 bots to join with him so he can do the goddamn map, I mean, that's on him. I will still not use cheatings, but then he's not ruining the experience to anyone else. But the most time that I see cheaters, also known in MvM, they are not the only ones. They have random people. They are not a close team. I don't like that. For most of the time they are ruining the experience for other people, and they feel entitled to do so just because they want the loot. But I think that most cheaters, they are inconsiderate of others, and that's why I don't like cheating, because you don't put yourself in the shoes of the next one, and you just care about yourself in that scenario.
Talking about. So let's go through them. It's against the terms of service. Yeah, this doesn't really mean anything. A TOS isn't a divinely inspired rulebook. It's prone to the same potential inaccuracies that any law in the world could have. Almost every single TOS has some contentious elements to it. Who's to say that cheating in PvE couldn't be one of them? That sounds bizarre, but the point I'm making is that we should be justifying why it's banned in the TOS rather than appealing to one line of text as if it's God's rule. This will lead to more cheating in casual. To make this claim is to so thoroughly ignore the motives as to why people actually cheat in the first place. PvP cheaters solely exist to wreak as much havoc as possible because they get their rocks off doing that. Cheaters in MvM just do it because they're addicts farming for Aussies in a game with no faster alternative. There's a reason everyone jumps at the chance to kick a cheater in casual, if they know how. Guys, it's right here. But in MvM, some players are cheering their inclusion. They're two entirely different mindsets with completely different incentive structures, and there's no context where they should be seen as comparable. Hell, I'll even stake the claim that you're more likely to cheat in casual if you've done it previously in another PvP shooter than if you were to do it in man versus machine. But you know what? Fine. Let's say I'm entirely wrong and these same people would also cheat in casual. If that is the case, wouldn't you rather have them cheating in a PvE game mode instead of a PvP one? Like, if they're gonna cheat either way, may as well make it the lesser of two evils, right? I don't know. To me, this argument just isn't convincing at all. It makes the game boring. I mean, you're not wrong. While recording this video, I was borderline napping in my chair because of how much of a snorefest it was, but we have to acknowledge this is more of an argument about preferences. For all you know, cheaters could be queuing in full pre-mades and never affect you specifically, which they often do. The validity of cheating as a concept shouldn't be contingent on the recipient's personal enjoyment. It's stolen valor. This is objectively true. The added tour count to your badge, the status newer players will grant you from seeing it, and the loot itself, all of it shouldn't be seen as legitimate. This was taken to its extreme a few months back when a player using cheats on their alt account had the luxury of receiving a golden frying pan. That's a sucker punch to the 1K Andes if I've ever seen one. And those feelings are valid. I don't disagree. But the problem that I have with this argument is for a lot of people, that's where it stops. It's undeserved. This is less an argument against cheating and more a fact of the matter. There are a lot of things in life that are undeserved, yet we still wouldn't advocate for their abolishment. So we need to dig deeper into what that statement actually entails so we can find the reasoning to be contended with. Yes, the rewards are fraudulent. What are the negative ramifications of that outcome? Well, this is where we get into the arguments that, in my opinion, deserve consideration. The biggest and most pressing issue being the devaluation of accomplishments within the game. And as mentioned, the validity of this notion has varying weight to it. No one has an issue with Little Billy using speed hacks in Mario Kart, but throw that kid into a speedrunning environment and Carl Jobst wouldn't have to worry about rent that month. The game itself may not have changed, but the expectations surrounding it justifiably have. Devaluing a game's integrity doesn't have any long-lasting ramifications if done in the void where no one's affected, but introduce other players into the mix and now the choices you make actually have some baggage to them. This is why MvM cheaters who say, "What's the big deal? We're not hurting anybody," are wrong. Sure, you didn't explicitly harm another player to get your fun, but you did indirectly devalue the status of achieving those feats of victory. You could say, it's MvM, who gives a shit, but a lot of people do. Every wave accomplished, every mission box ticked, every tour completed, every Australium drop you witness, it's a symbol of effort. It's why people make leaderboards for tour counts or track their Australiums on their profiles. Even I do this. When a metric is given added importance, and that number can be artificially inflated by unfair means, it devalues its legitimacy as a whole. Sound familiar? I'm sympathetic to these criticisms, but the elephant in the room here is, what if somebody doesn't care? Actually, what if almost half the people playing your game aren't fully opposed to it? See, this is where MvM finds itself in a unique situation. Games with divided fan bases bicker over what direction their game should go in all the time, but they do so with the intent of aiming to create a better experience. Man vs. Machine isn't like this. Because the prospects of good drops is such a carrot on a stick for a massive portion of the player base, their best game experience is whatever invalidates the gameplay portion as much as humanly possible. If Valve added a button that Thanos snapped all the robots out of the game instantly, a massive chunk of MvM players would press it. And despite that very clearly being terrible game design, despite every single push of that button further validating its existence, it's the path of least resistance, and that's what people care about. So telling people you shouldn't cheat because integrity is a hard sell when half of the player base are keen to let that shit go. Are they wrong for thinking that? Well, you can judge for yourself, but how it affects other players is the key takeaway here. In a vacuum, cheating isn't a bad thing. In the same way that wanting an elevator to reach the top of Mount Everest is, in a vacuum, also not a bad thing.
This is... Jesus, look at this. Is this like a real picture of people trying to reach the Mount Everest? Damn, I did not know that many people would try it. Damn.
But the very act of allowing people to circumvent any obstacles, be they challenging or not, inherently devalues the achievements for those who do. You might be of the opinion that focusing on this kind of stuff is nothing more than a dick measuring contest and shouldn't be considered legitimate arguments against cheating. That if the attainment of bigger numbers or flashier weapons is the only issue, cheating is fine because the people who care about that stuff are losers. If you've ever sat through a Summoning Salt video, you fundamentally disagree with this, but you know what? Fine, let's roll with that. You know what isn't stupid to care about? Losing money. You want to know how things decrease in value? By adding to an already existing supply. See, this is where you'll find the irrefutable argument against cheating. Everyone cares about maintaining the glory of their efforts, and by artificially increasing the supply to more than it otherwise would be, the loot is devalued for everybody. Even if it's never put on the market, the very act of attaining those Australiums lessens their scale.
Yeah, it's true. I did not openly spoke about this, but yeah, that came through my mind in the beginning of the video, that the more of someone plays and gets the loot artificially, the more that this will decrease in value because there will be more in the market. So yeah, that's a very good point.
Scarcity. And because there's no intrinsic value to the possession of these items, that lowers their perceived worth. So even if you couldn't care less about the integrity of the game mode, this affects you negatively as well. Sure, a very small minority of people cheat, so as it stands right now, the effects are minimal. But the assertion cheaters make regarding their actions having no negative consequences on the player base at large isn't true, and we have to recognize that. If we don't, what's to stop another 100,000 or infinite number of players from justifying cheating to themselves? I know we all laughed at Basil for what he did, but in actuality, I'm not going to condemn him for trying to waste the time of the cheaters. They queue in parties, so vote kicks are impossible, and at the end of the day, his motives were the same as Valve's once were.
I mean, I disagree with that, because him being shown that he trolls MvM games before and previous to the actual match of the cheaters, I don't think it doesn't make noble his action to try to troll the cheaters, because that just shows that he would have done that to anyone. He was not a player that joined the game, saw that they were cheaters and tried to stop them because they were cheaters, but it was just his normal doing. So I don't think it was a noble thing. I don't think it was a less condemnable thing. I don't think it was less of a dick action as he would normally have. It was just him trying to troll. It was not something of value. It was not something to try to impede the cheaters from winning. And while it's true that cheaters usually come in groups or they have the bots, that's one of the problems that I have. They never come with a full game to just be themselves, to just be their group. They leave slots open for other players to join in that will be filled with different people that might as well not like the cheating. And since Valve has so few servers about it, since queuing takes so long, it takes so much time, it just incentivizes these types of actions. It will make the people get salty about these situations. As long as finding a match will take as long as the game, sometimes that happened with me during Halloween, and that happened in many other MvM games when I played years ago. That will just make people angry, because after so long that they finally found a match, having it ruined maybe by someone having cheats, by someone trying to kick you on the sixth wave because you were a new player, that will just make the value of the game itself lower, and the people that will remain in the game will be the most toxic and the most inconsiderative types. Continuing.
To protect the integrity of the game. That being said, what about people who knowingly play with cheaters? Truth be told, I don't really care all that much, and I think most people feel the same way. It's kinda like piracy in a way, where if everyone did it, shit would get fucked, but the self-interest is so high and the direct negative causal effects are so minimal, it's hard to condemn someone for not foregoing that opportunity out of a sense of moral purity. I don't endorse playing with cheaters, let's get that straight, but I also believe it's not an action abhorrent enough to warrant files on top of files of condemnation. But you know what is warranted? Blaming Valve. Valve for not giving a shit about their anti-cheat measures and effectively making the rules of their own fucking game completely meaningless. This is obviously a problem with casual as well, but at the very least you can go to a community server and get a relatively similar experience. You can't do this with MvM. Okay, well you can, but not with the same incentives in place.
Yeah, that's true.
Valve's apathy hasn't led to the death of TF2, but it could very well lead to the death of MvM because there is not and cannot be an alternative. The players abusing this situation aren't absolved of all responsibility, but if all the current cheaters vanished tomorrow, a new batch would take their place the next day because moral condemnation doesn't stop people who don't care. Unless the rules are enforced, they're going to
moral condemnation just incentivizes people to keep going. That's a fact.
keep being broken. I don't see an answer to this from the community's end beyond everyone pulling a Basil and holding the game hostage. But although it's the only deterrent we have, and theoretically I encourage it, I don't feel comfortable supporting this as a rule because newer players who don't recognize when someone is cheating often get caught in the crossfire. This is obvious. This, not so much. But I do find it funny how those who are so adamant, so forthcoming on being the game's moral arbiters, have zero issue fucking over innocent players just to irritate one guy out of a personal vendetta. How noble of you guys. Really. Look, I'm a complete slut for MvM loot. But this is the first and last time you'll ever see me playing with cheaters because its normalization will become a cancer to the game. And like any YouTuber presented with cancer, it's my job to make content out of it. Okay, but fuck me, dude. Can we please, after almost a decade, facilitate a community who are simultaneously anti-cheating, but also don't have toxicity as one of their foundational principles? No? Fuck it, I'll do it myself. Introducing bananabutt.tf.
No.
Fuck. Okay, but for real, I have a Discord server now, so if you need a hub to find like-minded MvM players, or just want to fuck around and shitpost about Weezer, well, the link's in the description. It's not man versus machine exclusive, by the way, so if you play TF2, I'd say hop in anyways. What do you have to lose? Alright, this was a long video. I'm tired. Join the Discord, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, don't forget to wash your foreskin, and remember, bananas will always be a healthier option than a pizza or a taco.
You know what? I can agree with that final message. Let me see if there's nothing else to look here. I don't think so. Guys, I can say that some of the arguments I concur because my views on cheating, they are a little bit more of black and white than the actual world is. I admit. But some of the arguments I can agree and some of the arguments I disagreed. But guys, I think that most of what I had to say was said during the video, so I don't think there's nothing else to add here at the end. I just would like to thank every single one of you. Thanks so much for coming. Thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks so much for returning to the channel or discovering the channel now that we're trying to come back. I will try to record and get ready a few videos to go during the week. So if I stay with the same messy hair, sorry about that, and the same shirt, so you guys know that it is still on the same day. But I'm gonna try to get my PC, get my settings, get everything that I need to move everything to the other PC when it arrives, and we'll see how things goes. I really hope that it's gonna be amazing to record the videos and to edit faster. So guys, again, if you can, please give a like, go to the Discord of oh wait a second, let me subscribe to Wheezy TF2. Go to his Discord if you got interested in the idea. Tell me what you concurred and what you disagreed with the video, and what of the arguments that were told. What do you agree and what do you disagree? And leave a like, share the video, subscribe, and just be sure to have a good day, okay? Hope to see you guys next time, and I hope that my camera resolution was at least a little bit better this time, okay? See you guys in the future, and hope to see you guys on the next video, okay? Bye!